We'll have our guest presentation, Outreach Director from the Michigan League of Public Policy, Ms. Renell Weathers, who certainly has enlightened us on many ally occasions. She always brings great handouts that I use statistics all the time. It makes me sound extremely smart and brilliant. And I always give the credit the first time to Renell, who comes and keeps us abreast with tons of information. So without further ado, Renell Weathers.
Thank you. And I did share that in my report that you used it, so it's on record. Good morning. Good morning. And thanks again for the opportunity to come and address you today. The impact of legislation that passes in Lansing doesn't stay there. Sometimes it comes in a slow roll, sometimes it comes out of nowhere and cuts us off, and sometimes it comes fast and furious like a race car. But what happens is that it can either help or hurt families in Michigan, and lately it's been the latter. And so as Donnell mentioned, that on an ongoing basis, I've been updating you on state policies, either through reports, through infographics, through verbal updates. Today I'm gonna go a little deeper in a couple policy areas. But first I want to give a little bit more about myself and also about the Michigan League for Public Policy. Prior to, I have lived in Detroit most of my life. About 14 years ago, AT&T relocated my family to the South Central area. So I live in a small rural area. It's mostly farm called Napoleon Township, which is very different from Detroit, but also helped me understand that the same issues happening there in the rural communities too. So I have a really great understanding of the sharing of challenges in both urban and rural areas. Prior to joining the league in 2011, I worked for the Senate Minority Leader in the state of Michigan, and also when he ran his congressional office, I followed him to became part of his congressional team as well. So I'm outreach director, and I attend meetings across the state to help make the connection between state policies and issues that matter to local citizens. And just like I'm here today, and I do it all over the state, mostly in South Central and Southeastern, but also Saginaw and those areas as well. The Michigan League, we are a non-profit, non-partisan organization, and we kind of dedicate our work to economic opportunity for all. We focus on how policies impact access to opportunity. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go into a little detail about a few. And so we cover several policy areas. And as he's playing with that, I will.
Let's make it a little larger.
Okay. So the screens are a little. Anyway, so we cover about 6 policy areas. And it's budget, and many times I bring you budget briefs that kind of as the campaign season or the budget season gets into high gear, it gives you a breakdown of what's happening. Also, tax policy. In that, we've analyzed earned income tax credit, which gives a benefit to workers who earned at the lower end of the wage scale. Also, poverty and reduction. On our website, we have many tools on our website, and throughout my talk, I'm going to mention our website, mlpp.org, and all of the reports that I bring here, all the fact sheets are all on that website. And we have new interactive tools. And I'm going to show one a little bit in a few minutes. But under poverty and reduction, we have something called online calculator that helps you understand how much you have to earn in order to make ends meet in every county in Michigan, and depending on your family size. So you can actually go in there and actually input some information and get outcomes for that. And so we try to cover many areas. In healthcare, we evaluate the Affordable Care Act, the Healthy Michigan Plan, which is the expanded Medicaid. And also we are the state partner for an Annie E. Casey Foundation. And they do the Kids Count data book. Actually, this is their 25th year. I'm actually leaving next week for their celebration. And they compare with states key indicators for child well-being. We produce the state book that compares the counties, and I bring that usually every year. And we only print a few, but I make sure NAACP gets their number. And Danielle actually doesn't know this, but he can actually ask for as many as he wants, but don't tell him I said that. And so as we think about how families are faring, how do we decide how policies are actually impacting? And so one of the tools that we have now put on just, I think in July, is called Mapping the Facts. And one of the handouts, can you hear me? I'm sorry, the Wayne County handout. And one of the handouts can demonstrate it. So you can go onto our site and go to any county and get a snapshot of what the county facts are. And I've brought this as a handout, and it shows you, and we do it by counties. There's some information, especially in Kids Count, that actually has Detroit. Sometimes it's hard to do statistics across indicators, so counties are easier because you need a larger amount of population in order to get the right data. So sometimes it's just county, but sometimes we're able to do Detroit data, and also data in Detroit kind of takes our information and kind of drills down a little bit as well. It shows you the poverty rates, unemployment rates, the insurance, how many people are on cash assistance. It shows you who's on food assistance, median household income, fair market value for housing, those information. So it's really some good information to have. We update it on a regular basis. It'll be updated again before the end of the year. So I really encourage you to go to our website. And so we have that information, and what do we do with that information? What is how do we kind of decide how the lawmakers are, how well they're doing? And one of the things is, with all the problems that are happening all across Michigan, not just Detroit, all across Michigan, are the policymakers doing the right things, or is their policies or their priorities upside down? Do they share our priorities, or is it upside down? And many of you can probably answer without me even going any more further in my talk, but I'll still go a little bit further, kind of break down a couple of the areas. One of the first ones I want to talk about is the Family Independence Program, more commonly known as cash assistance. The average family unit is 3. It's the mother and 2 children. The maximum, not the average, the maximum amount of cash assistance they can receive is $492. The average time they're on cash assistance is 15 months. And usually it's situational. So usually, and this is all data that the state collects. Usually it's either transportation issue. You know, when you're earning a low end of the wage scale, you don't get paid sick leave. And that's a whole another category to discuss. But you end up losing your job because either of illness or because of cutbacks or something, and you get back on. So the average time is 15 months. So back in 2011, there were several changes made to the laws of Michigan, and things were passed that totally hit everybody by surprise. One of them was the business taxes. Business taxes were reduced, where now business provide less than 2% of a total Michigan revenue. Less than 2% of the revenue comes from businesses in Michigan. That happened in 2011 laws. Also, families lost child care credit. Pensioners were taxed. So many changes happened in 2011. One of them is the 48-month lifetime limit was added for people receiving cash assistance. This is lifetime. And what happened, they made it retroactive. So it wasn't that after 2011, it was back when it started in the late 90s. So over that time, if you already had 48 months, they cut you off. Now, time limits has always existed when it started, but there were exceptions. If you were working, or if you were in areas of high unemployment, you still could receive cash assistance. That stopped in 2011. So the caseload then was about between 70,000 to 80,000 cases. And remember, it's 3 people per case on average, and 2/3 of that are children. So we had between 70,000 to 80,000 cases. Can anyone guess how many cases we have now? Just guess.
15,000?
It's really plummeted to 35,000, a drop of 60%. Now, we're still recovering from the recession. What's happened to those families? Does anyone actually ask those questions or anyone care about that? As I think Donald mentioned, this is campaign season. On our website, we're going to have some candidate questions, and hopefully, and I will alert Camelia or Donnell when those are available. I think I have actually a blog coming out this week kind of identifying those, but with some policy background and with the questions we can be asked that we should be asking. And not just now, the accountability for the candidates is even more after they're elected. So this is something that stops now. We have to continue asking these questions and making sure that they are sharing our values and our priorities. And so the case is just plummeted. And one component to the cash assistance that's rarely talked about, I don't know, I haven't heard anyone talk about this, and most people probably aren't aware of this, is the Extended Family Independence Program called EFIP. Has anyone ever heard of that before? So it's an automatic, something happens. So say, for instance, in order to be eligible, I'm trying not to get so much into the weeds. I'm trying to just give you some of the information. In order to become eligible, initially, you have to be making $814 a month. And that's actually just low poverty numbers. And you get, what you want to happen, you get either more hours or a bump up in pay, and you start earning over around $1,200. Well, then you're no longer eligible to receive it, which is what it's for. It's for to help you get a step up. Even though $1,200 is not a lot of money per month either. But what happens is that they automatically put you into EFIP. Now, why does that matter? Because they count that the same as the $492 you're getting. So that counts against your lifetime limits. So many people in a situation, you have two occurrences where you on cash assistance, and you have to you do what is intended. You start earning more money. They automatically put you into the program, and you get $10 a month, and it counts against your lifetime limits. We think that's totally unfair. We think it punishes family. It's almost like a work penalty. Do what you're supposed to do, and then they count against you. Because if you have another occurrence, and the third occurrence, you'll be cut off forever. And so we're asking them to stop counting this $10 the same as the $500, or at least make people aware. Because many times someone asks you, do you want to go on extended benefits? You say yes. You don't ask the question, well, what does that mean? So most recipients don't realize what that means, and for a minor amount of money. And so this is one of the advocacies that we are working hard to behind the scenes. And many legislators, most of them are clueless about this. And many times when you talk to the candidates, they usually are only aware of the things that which committee they're on. And anything outside of those committees, they don't know. So we're the experts. It's up to us to actually tell them. Every candidate has gotten a packet from us with information in it about what we would help inform their decision making. And that's what we hope, information that I provide you, that it helps inform your decision making, helps inform your advocacy. So that's one area.
No, Renell, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but what does $10 cover? Is that $10 on top of $492?
No. They no longer give you $492. They just give you $10. And so what happened is that, thank you for asking that question. I forgot to mention, the state of Michigan has a worker participation rate they must meet in order to get funds from the federal government, and that helps them still count them in their rate. So the state benefits from still counting them. And they get a minimum amount of money to be that. And most people are clueless as to that. State benefits, but people are being penalized for that. And this is something is kind of a minor issue as the state goes, but it's huge for families in Michigan who have those situations where they have to get back on cash assistance for that. It's not like people are on for years, and you hear that. And most time when people are saying stuff, it's not based on fact. And so hopefully, and hopefully you use our information to help you. Because many times we all know families that are hurting, are struggling, it's our neighbors, it's our cousins or someone. So the information I give you is data to actually back up what you're already hearing, or actually what you're seeing already in families around the state.